All right, hello everyone. I'm excited to be here today to speak to you as your new fire chief. Myself and the administration is very excited about starting to communicate the vision that we have for AFR moving forward. So this will be really just a general overview, not a lot of details yet, because there's a lot of work that's going to go in to achieve some of our focus areas. So I also want to thank everybody for your patience. We've been extremely busy up here with the transition, and we're excited to get to work for all of you. But just right off the bat, we have 4 areas of focus that we're going to hit the ground running with. The first one is systems sustainability. The second is expansion of quality assurance. The third is leadership. And the fourth is firefighter and employee well-being. So I'm going to touch on a little bit of each of those, a little bit more in depth. And even though I went in that order, I'm going to save systems sustainability for the end because that's one of the more complicated ones. So I'll move to the second focus area, which is quality assurance. And everybody knows that in emergency services, that's where our quality assurance and quality improvement lies. We have a very well-developed program on the EMS side, and one of my goals is to improve that over onto everything else we do, whether that be the fire suppression side of what we do, our support services, all of that. So really taking what we do well in EMS and expanding that out across the department. Part of quality assurance is quality improvement. And so with quality improvement, we're going to be looking at all of our programs, our processes, how many apparatus we send, for example, to a fire alarm to see if we can make improvements, become more efficient, and things like that. Other parts of quality assurance include training, and then a really key one for me is customer service. We are all here to work with the community. The community is our customers. And we also have internal and external customer service. So we also have customer service as we work with each other within the fire department, and then the customer service that we have out in the community. So there will be a lot of focus on that as we provide those services to each other and then out to the community. The third focus area that I mentioned is leadership. I believe that all of us are leaders in our own area, whether you are a cadet, a probationary firefighter, all the way up through chief. And so I believe as your administration, it's our job to help support you as leaders in your areas. And so as we communicate out with the battalion chiefs and out through the battalions and our divisions, I really want us all to focus on reflecting on our own role in leadership and who we lead and how we not only want to be perceived as a leader, but how we want to work together to make improvements in our areas. And so you'll see a lot more coming out related to leadership as we go on through the next several months, but that is a focus area for us. Along with leadership is communication. And I think there's a lot of areas that we can improve as an administration in how we communicate with each other, with our battalion chiefs, with our divisions, and with the field. And so we will be working on making improvements there with how we communicate. One of those things is we may change up how we do coffee with the chiefs and see if we can make some improvements in how we get that information out to everybody. And then also how the information gets back up to us and the feedback and things like that. Another very important part of leadership is is administration working with the Local 244. Labor management is incredibly important for our department, and we need to work together as a team. And we're not always going to agree on everything, and we recognize that. But we really want to, right now, just enforce or reinforce the importance of getting involved in something, whether you go to union meetings, you join a committee, make your voice be heard so that we can hear feedback out from the department. And so we will continue to work with labor on initiatives that are good for our department, and we believe that that's part of the leadership that we're focusing on. The fourth focus area is firefighter, and really I want to include firefighter and employee well-being because we have a large staff of civilian employees that are critical to our operations, so I don't want to leave them out of how important employee well-being is in our department. Things that we have already supported, we will continue to support and improve behavioral health and how we address those needs for our firefighters and our employees. One of my personal goals is rebuilding our physical well-being program, so the peer fitness program. Kind of a baby of mine. I was in the first group of peer fitness trainers that got the training, and it's always held on just by a thread, and we really don't work on making sure that our firefighters are not only emotionally supported, but also physically supported for the job that is very taxing on our bodies. Another important part of firefighter well-being to me is job satisfaction. We spend at least a third of our life at work, and a lot of you spend a lot more because you work a lot of overtime, and it's important to enjoy to come to work when we're coming in. And so our administration is going to be working on areas that we believe we can improve job satisfaction for the boots on the ground and all of you that are doing all of the work. And part of job satisfaction is also creating a safe and supportive space for everybody that works for us. And so making sure that we're inclusive and that we recognize differences and that that doesn't divide us is very important as part of that job satisfaction. So we will be working on some goals there. And then lastly, two other important things to me for firefighter employee well-being is really having a family connection as a department. And I think a lot of times in your station, in your divisions, you have that connection where your family feels connected to our department. I want to make sure that we expand that out beyond the stations to where families feel connected, whether that's through doing a bit more events or other things that get our families involved. And then the very last thing is I think our retirees are incredibly important, and I want to work on enhancing the retirement process. I want to bring back exit interviews where when you retire, we offer you the opportunity to come up and perform an exit interview with the administration to give your feedback, and then to continue to support all of our members as they enter into retirement and our retirees. So that's another area of well-being that we will be focusing on. And I saved the biggest one for the last, and the way that I like to address it, we talk about terms such as ALS expansion or, insert whatever we talk about with our system. What we really need at Albuquerque Fire is system sustainability. There's so many moving pieces to having a sustainable, manageable system, whether we are talking about how we address our call volume, how we staff our trucks, what licensures people have that we staff our trucks with, how do we get that training to get up there. So system sustainability is really going to be our big overarching goal. We do a lot of things really great. We would not be an ISO of 1. We would not have just gotten credentialed if we were not doing amazing things. And the work that you do out there every day is amazing. What is frustrating a lot of our firefighters, I believe, is that it doesn't feel sustainable. We feel like there's always one thing could just break staffing or one thing could break our call volume. And so we're really going to focus in on analyzing staffing and how can we best utilize personnel that we have to staff moving forward, so that it's not such a drain on everybody. How are we going to train to get up to that levels? We're going to have plans for that. And then call volume management. I don't like to call it call volume reduction. In a perfect world, we would be able to reduce calls, but really the only thing that we're ever doing is managing those calls that are coming into 911. And so through call volume management, we're going to work on things like efficiency and response for both fire and EMS. We're not going to leave out fire on that. We are starting to look at dispatch diversion programs where we divert 911 callers to other resources at the level of dispatch and don't send units out. And then continuing to work with other agencies that to reduce certain redundancies, whether that be Albuquerque Ambulance or APD, ACS. Another important piece of system sustainability that I think we forget to talk about is also prevention. And so all of our support divisions and then also field providers are very important in prevention. But we have HART, we have our Fire Marshal's Office, we have ADAPT, we have all of these programs that work with our community to prevent 911 calls from even happening. And it's really hard to measure that because you don't always see the benefits of that prevention, but we're going to keep figuring out how does prevention play a role in our system sustainability. At the end of the day, we have a lot of big issues to solve here, whether we're talking about staffing or our system. And so with every solution that we come up with to be more sustainable, there will always be consequences. And it's very important that we identify those consequences to ideas or decisions that we make. And when we identify those consequences, that we know them and we communicate them and even have contingencies if we need to have contingencies in place. And so that's part of what this administration will be doing, is really have very deliberate planning where we will be looking a year from now or 2 years from now, this is where we want to be. And then we're going to work backwards from there. We're going to come up with short-term and long-term goals to reach up to a long-term sustainability plan, and what policies need to change and where we need to maneuver things, and all of that will be communicated. We will work with labor, and we will be data-driven. We're going to make sure that there's research that goes behind everything that we do to get to an end goal. But we have to have that goal first and then work backwards to how are we going to achieve that goal. And I wish I could tell you what that is today, but it's today's my 4th day on the job. So we will be working on this in the background and then communicating that with all of you out there so that you understand where we're going and we're not just dropping things on you last minute. So really, the way that I want you to feel this come in effect is that we're going to be working really hard behind the scenes, but for everybody out in the field and our boots on the ground and our divisions, we want to feel like we're all slowing down a little bit. You can take a breath, and you're not going to have to be waiting for that next change. That doesn't mean administration and your leadership is going to be stopping, but we want you to feel a little sense of everything slowing down while we work on what that long-term plan is. The last thing I wanted to do was just dispel a few things or talk about a few myths that I've heard kind of circulating out. One of them is that we're looking at shutting down any of our support divisions. We are not looking at shutting down any of our support divisions. Our support divisions, and I think administration, we message that our job is to get out and respond to 911 calls, and we're going to do everything that we can to staff our trucks and respond to 911 calls, which is 100% accurate. Like, that is what the fire service is. But we also have all of these support divisions that provide essential services to our community. And these are services such as a fire marshal going into a building and making sure that it's safe for the occupants that reside there, that their kids go to the daycare, that are eating lunch there, that are shopping there in the event that there's an emergency there. It also makes it safe for our firefighters if there is an incident there. So we have to figure out a way to provide that sustainability while not decreasing other essential services, whether that be our HART team, our fire marshal's office, ADAPT, any number of our support services out to the community. So we will come up with a sustainability plan that includes fully staffing our support divisions. Another question that I've gotten is how my position will be backfilled, my emergency services position. Right now, we're analyzing the needs of administration to figure out what that job description will look like. And so we have some time to kind of figure out what that will look like, and then we will release that timeline and what what that position will be when we have that. So it's not going away. We still have it. We still have the position, and we're just really trying to figure out, we want to be very deliberate in how we move responsibilities over there to make sure that we have the most impact. So that will be released in the coming weeks about what that backfill will look like into that position. And then the last thing is that we have a lot of changes, and I said we wanted to slow down, but we have a lot of changes that we're moving in the direction of right now, leading up into the bids that are coming up. And so those changes are going to continue, and it's necessary to get us through this challenging year. This year, we are trying to address a lot of the challenges we saw in 2022, whether it be with our staffing at Station 2 and Station 3, with our non-preferred staffing. All of those things are going to get us over this hump to buy us some time to get to that long-term planning and that long-term goal. So with that, I just want to assure everyone that myself and our administration up here will be visible. We will be available for you. We are here to help solve the issues that we have. And I really just want to thank all of you. It's been a challenging series of years. You would think things would have gotten better after the height of the pandemic, but things are getting more difficult for us. And so we up here, administration, we see your hard work. We appreciate your attitudes, your engagement with the community, and we thank you for all of that hard work. And we look forward to continuing to work with you in the coming months and years.